was having a little light lunch with my friend the other day, and we were just sitting at the table waiting for our food, and with absolutely no fanfare, her tooth fell out of her mouth onto the table. And we're just staring at a tooth on the table. And she's so shocked she can't even be embarrassed. And I said, you know, growing old is not for sissies. So my story tonight is about turning 65. And I would just like to say, first of all, in my humble opinion, our government needs to come up with a better system for its seniors than Medicare, a system so complicated, you have to have someone paid to interpret it for you. Wow, maybe I should run for Senate. Anyway, I was turning 65, and I was being bombarded by insurance salespeople, texts, emails, calls at work, and the paper mail coming in, like that scene in Harry Potter where all his Hogwarts letters are coming through the fireplace. That was my mailbox, and I wasn't prepared. I honestly wasn't ready. I had a lot of things I was trying to figure out before I made that decision in my life, which to me represented retirement. And so they stacked up on the desk. I mean, they literally were like a stack of brochures. And one of the reasons I was hesitating is that I had been warned by my rheumatologist that once I went on Medicare, I could no longer use a prescription help card that allowed me to get Humira, the drug Humira, which I take for rheumatoid arthritis, at a $5 copay. And the irony of all of that is that Humira gave me the help card. So if Humira can pay for Humira, why do they charge $1,800 a month if you don't have that card? And why would my government want to take that help card away from me? They're not paying for it when I need it the most. So I was really hesitating, sort of going in a stew. And then the unimaginable happened. My family gathered in Arizona at my brother's home for Thanksgiving, and we were all together for the first time post-COVID, which was unusual because usually my Pennsylvania brother stayed in Pennsylvania, and he visited later in the year so that he could visit our mom in her nursing home on Thanksgiving. But this one, we felt like we all needed to be together, and we had such a lovely Thanksgiving. And I was literally rolling my suitcase into the kitchen, getting ready for my flight home. And my Arizona brother greeted me to say that he had gotten a phone call in the middle of the night to say that our mother had passed in her sleep on Thanksgiving. And then a month later, I turned 65. Now, I had friends who had already gone into the I Lost My Mother Club, and I didn't want to join them. But when I did, I was so happy they were there. They were loving, they comforted me, and I sort of intuitively knew how to deal with some of that grief, not the least of which was wearing my mom's cute pink pajamas to bed at night for comfort. What I wasn't equipped for, had no coping mechanism for, was the dismantlement of our family home. Now, I know that that's terrible for every family. It's just bloody awful. But my dental hygienist told me that when they moved their parents' bookcase, they found $800 stashed back there, okay? When we rearranged things in my parents' house, we found that mice were living there, okay? So the dismantlement of the home is almost like a fairy tale. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was really in disrepair, and we were really struggling with just the physicality of the house. And my brothers were dealing with emotionality in very different ways, and I seemed to be the one that was trying to salvage things that were sentimental. My parents were not wealthy people, they didn't have valuables, but we had things that I wanted to hang on to. But I have to be honest with you, that was the longest, darkest winter of my life. And when we finally got to the weekend where the house is practically empty, and I have to face the things that are being let go, the furniture that I cannot absorb, because I was never able to buy a house of my own, I'm starting to have dreams that felt to me of mythic proportion about loss, and it was all about this stuff. Such a terribly, weirdly symbolic thing, but it was about this stuff. So I can't take that amount of motion into my body and not have it affect me. So one day I went to stand up and I literally couldn't straighten up my back. And I had this radiating pain in my lower back that went down into my hip, and when I would try to walk, my hip would give out, and I was hobbling. I hobbled for months. And this might be a fun time to tell you that I work in a senior home, and all of the people who were 90 and in wheelchairs were feeling sorry for me because I was hobbling. I saw an orthopedist, and I had x-rays, and he gave me this really scary steroidal shot to calm things down, and his diagnosis was, this is not your rheumatoid arthritis, and this is not erosion in your hip. This is just plain old age arthritis in your back that's causing sciatica, okay? And about a month later, I started to have problems with my eyes. I mean, like serious crisis problems, crusty eye syndrome, going in and finding out that the drugs that I have taken for rheumatoid have caused a dry eye syndrome that I'm going to fight for the rest of my life. And they also have advanced cataracts to the point where they're suggesting surgery. So at one point, I'm sitting in a chair and I'm thinking, okay, well, you didn't want to move forward and now you literally cannot walk. And you didn't want to look at your future, and now you cannot see. And I started to think of my body as like that body in the game in Operation. You know that little man? And you're pulling the body parts out with the tweezers, only in my game, you're pulling out the body parts that don't work anymore. And you only win if there's something left at the end that's actually working. And then the bills started to come in, the medical bills for the shot, for the procedures, for the x-rays, for dental work that I had had. And I came right back to my disgruntlement with American insurance, okay? Because I was paying out thousands of dollars. My friend who lost the tooth, she found out that that was actually a broken crown, and she was gonna have a special procedure, and I was like, well, good luck with that. Because I did that procedure preventively, and I paid $350 for the crown, and then I got a bill for $1,200 for the gift of putting it on my tooth. But I can't hobble down the hallway forever. I got to move forward. So the other day I walked into the house. I know this isn't much, but I walked in and I picked up that entire stack of brochures and I threw it out. And I have called not one, not two, but 3 insurance brokers. I have finally found one that I think will help me with my Humira. And on November 1st, I'm going in to get the information I need to sign up for Medicare. And then from there, I can think about a less stressful job. And I sincerely hope that when I see you in the new year, I want to celebrate 66. Thank you.